everyone? How's it going? Welcome back to $3 Theater. And China, did what we all thought they were going to do. I mean, there's really no other way of talking about it. There's no other way to lead into it, all things considered. China. But there are some influential Chinese people in the in the Chinese film industry the other night that put out this blog post, really, or it was something where they were warning that China could potentially cut down on the U.S. film releases coming into the country throughout the course of the year, if not beyond, in response to Donald Trump's idiotic trade war that is, in some ways really hurting the global economy, except for the people who bought the dip, surprisingly, right before the announcement that the tariffs are being paused on everyone except China. And so China responded today by saying that they are going to be limiting the release of U.S. films in the country as a response to the tariffs. And of course, this has caused a lot of panic, a lot of confusion, and a lot of people are wondering just what the hell is going on. So let's quickly here take a look. So China says it will cut the number of U.S. films that are imported into the country in retaliation against the latest waves of tariff increases imposed by Trump. In a statement issued by the Chinese Film Administration, they said that the increased 125% tariff was the wrong move and will further reduce the domestic audience's favorability towards American-made movies. They say we will follow market rules, respect the audience's choices, and moderately reduce the number of American films imported. The CFA said, China is the world's second largest film market. We have always adhered to a high level of opening up to the outside world and will introduce more excellent films from the world to meet market demand. Now, that's where things get interesting because, yes, the number one film going market is obviously America, right? America. Fuck yeah. Okay. But China is number two, and they've got 1.6 billion people. So we got 340 million at a high end estimate. So they've got us beat by a solid margin of 5 times. Okay, and so their movies over there will do quite well. There's that Niza 2, that animated film that came out last year, has grossed $1.8 billion. There are some people yesterday that were trying to tell me that it's already knocked Titanic out of the top 5. No, it hasn't. It has come close, but it hasn't. And look, and China apparently has a real transparent box office tracking system. I don't believe it, to be fair. China is known to lie. China has been known to scoot the numbers a little bit. But it is what it is. Either way, how many movies a year is this going to mean? That's the question. All right. Hollywood needs China. China doesn't need Hollywood. Let's be abundantly clear on that. We have to, as much as Americans love to puff out their chests and go, America number one. All right. The world is a much bigger place. And there's a lot of other countries that have more people than we do. And so, again, we are a powerhouse, but that powerhouse is slipping due to poor ass leadership. And I don't want to make it too political. Okay. You guys know where I stand. I try not to go too political in these things, but it comes out. Okay. I'm only human. All right. But China normally allows 32 films a year to come in from the outside of the country. All right, 32 films. And a lot of those are the big studio blockbusters. And if they're looking to start moving that particular idea, or those films, not lessening the amount of them, but restricting where they come from, and considering the vast majority come from the United States, that can pretty much give you a solid indicator as to where things are going to go. And that's not good for movies that are coming out this summer. Now, my biggest fear is Avatar, because I like Avatar. Avatar, I think it's going to do pretty good, but I don't know if without China, Avatar 3 is going to have itself a rough time. Okay, hitting that $2.5 billion mark or whatever. It's going to have trouble getting there. So Americans going to have to step up, man. But as these trade wars continue and as prices continue to increase, depending on where things are because of market instability and the untrustworthiness of America as a trade partner, that could seriously put some restraints on the amount of money people in the country spend on movies. And that is going to hurt the box office return of some of these big movies that have budgets in the $200 million plus range that are going to need to recoup that cost somehow. And without China, even though the amount of payout that the studios get from China is lower than they would get in the United States, it's still a significant amount of money if the movie does well. So by December, I think things will largely be sorted out. And hell, probably even by summer, this stuff will largely be sorted out. But make no mistake, if the one thing that they're really focusing on as an import is movies, that's a big deal. That's a pretty big deal. So my theory on it is this. The biggest movies that are going to get hit are going to be Mission Impossible, Fantastic Four, Jurassic World, and Superman. Those are the ones that are going to get hit the most. I have a feeling that some of these companies that have good relations with China might be okay, right? Universal does really well with their movies over there, so Jurassic World might be all right. Warner's, I think, does pretty well, so Superman might be all right. Marvel does pretty well. They've done Chinese specific scenes before with Chinese actors in order to bolster the box office over there in a very pandering sort of way that the people in China have no way of knowing ever happened because of how restrictive their stuff is there. But, and they do well. So who knows? I might be wrong, and they might all get in. But I don't think so. I could be wrong, but the reason why I don't think so has everything to do with the idea that they want to make things hurt, right? Trump is doing a retaliatory tariff to their tariff. And so it's just this back and forth. It's a dick measuring contest. And that is going to only end up, exacerbating things more. So it could be that China says, okay, fine, we're not going to severely limit the films that are coming into this country. We're just going to say F you and not do any of it. And that's going to severely impact the box office season over the summer for these movies. Now, this is in some ways, in my estimation, perhaps maybe a bit of a silver lining to look at this more optimistically. I have long argued that we need to find a way to cut budgets down. We need to find a way to do that. Now, if you listen to my video yesterday about what James Cameron was saying about how generative AI can help cut down those costs, that is a step in the right direction, but that's not everything, nor should it be everything. But they've got to find a way to start curbing these budgets because it's becoming untenable. And it doesn't matter what movie it is. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what movie it is. And so in order for these studios to remain profitable, they do adhere, by the way, to different cultural determinations. Different countries will require different things get removed. Remember Beauty and the Beast, right? Remember the scene where LeFou looks affectionately at that one guy in a dress? Cut out of Russia. It was banned in Russia at first before they cut it because they want the money. They want the rubles. Hollywood will always capitulate to whatever the country that their film is going to wants. They'll also make their movies super simple plot-wise, super simple dialogue-wise, in order to be able to have easier translation. If you want a great thing go look at Independence Day Resurgence. That movie looks like it feels like it was written by ChatGPT that said, write me the Alien Invasion sequel movie, but it was aimed at a 5-year-old. And they do this because it's easier translation. So they can go into more markets. I mean, that's unfortunate, but that's part of the business. So China right now is doing everything it can to kneecap Trump in regards to Trump trying to kneecap them. They're all trying to Tanya Harding each other's Nancy Kerrigan. And as a result of that, we're the ones that are going to have to then hear about this when box office returns aren't what they want. Again, Jurassic World, Fantastic Four, they're coming in from big franchises. Mission Impossible, I think, is going to do okay. But again, I don't know. The last one came out at a bad time. Summer 2023 did not bode well. Minecraft is a good kickoff, but so was Mario Brothers in 2023. So we'll have to wait and see how things go. Superman is the one I'm probably the most concerned about. And not because I've been critical about it. I'm most concerned about Superman for the distinct purpose or distinct reason that this is trying to establish a new world. The budget is over $200 million, not including P&A. So when they factor in the advertising costs, who knows what it's going to get up to, what the break-even cost is going to have to be. And that may or may not happen. I don't know. And it's not just like apathy towards DC and the confusing nature of DC. What I mean is, again, you look at these tariffs and this trade war and how costs are going up and people are going to start really picking and choosing. And the Minecraft theater destruction thing that's happening, the chicken jockey stuff that people seem to be celebrating, is only going to keep more people away from the theaters. Because why waste your money on a botched experience? You'll just wait for home rental. That's the other side of this as well. So Hollywood is in for a bumpy ride this summer, and we're going to start seeing it with some of these bigger releases. So to quote Jurassic Park, hold on to your butts. But my name is Matt. What are your thoughts? Let me know.